Hey guys, Rob with RubberToe Assembly here. We're going to show you another 20 by 8 video of a storage shed, how to do the center roof skylight. And getting right to it here, you can see I've laid out the cardboard and all the pieces here. First thing I do is put on this little end cap on one of the long skylight pieces. And that's going to keep its shape that you want. And then the next piece on the other end is going to be a connector, and you just slide them into the sides as you see there, and then I'm crimping the next piece, making the shape that you want, and put it in on the other side of that connector. It fits right in the little grooves as you see there. And so this is the way I do it. The book shows you to build the whole thing just like you see here in its entirety. I go halfway through and then put it up and build the other half from inside the shed, because if you're by yourself, that's pretty much the only way. So the first thing you're going to connect to the connector is this piece here, center roof extension panel, what they're called. They're shorter than the end ones, as you see to the right are the longer ones, and you just put it in that little groove of the connector. Might take a little bit of work to snap it in there, and then you put those two screws, you just saw me tap those, and then two on the other side, and you set your torque on your drill gun real low with a number 3 tip in there. And then you put one on the other side as well, snap it into place as you see there. Sometimes it takes a lot of force, you got to push these things in, and then you'll know when it clips into place. Your grooves will line up with the grooves on your skylight pieces, the shorter piece on the left, and then you have a longer skylight piece on the right in this particular situation. So you put your two screws in, and it goes right into that groove of the skylight, whether it's the short ones or the long ones. They both have those grooves that line up, and as you can see, you have your first two pieces connected to your connector. Then I come to the outside and do the outside ones and take off that little end cap. That was just to kind of keep its shape, keep it angled the way it is. And then this one's going to tuck under, the other side's going to tuck over, and these end ones are longer and they line up a lot easier than the shorter center ones. And you just line it up with the groove as you see there, put screws in just to the places that you see, connecting the skylight to it. Long roof extensions is what those are, and the ones on the inside that are shorter are short roof extensions. And then you put the other long roof extension on the other side. You have a right and a left here, by the way. You can see the little triangle piece to the right, that's where the end cap is going to go on. It only goes one way, so if you have the wrong piece in there and it's not fitting, you'll know it. It won't line up with the grooves, and just grab one of the others. If you don't have the left one, then you have the right one of the two, and just make sure it fits in the groove just like you see there, so that your little triangle wedge there is on the outside edge where your end cap's going to be, right there where I'm at there. Then you slide that end cap back on. It also helps keep its shape back to where you want to be, and just line it up in the grooves just like that. It slides into a little channel, and you pop this end cap on, and as you see there, it's clipped into place there, and it just takes one screw on each side. Put a little finishing screw there, finish with the last one on the opposite side. You just put these little screws in, and that's what holds it in place. So you could you're starting with this end, and you're going to work your way all the way to the middle roughly of this run, and then that's when I'm going to take it around and put it around one side of the shed, probably where the doors are, yeah, since the wall side I think is against the wall. So yeah, go to one end of the shed. When I get to the middle here, just much of the same process now. You put a connector on next, and then two more pieces. But I'm going to take this half a run, once it's about, what, 10 feet across or more, maybe 12, somewhere in there, and lift the whole piece up and slide it from the end up on top of the roof, which I'll show you here shortly. But for now, I'm just going on much of the same here, taking another short skylight and putting it into the other end of the connector, just as you see there. There's a great shot of how it slides in. Make sure they're pushed together correctly all the way in, and then you put two more short pieces on each end of that connector, and see how they overlap on the one before it there, and then the next one will overlap on this one. So Yeah, sometimes it takes a lot of force to snap these in there. If you clean all the excess plastic, if there's any plastic buildup on the edges there that you can slice off or deburr, if you will. I have a deburring video that shows how to deburr these pieces and other pieces, so that's very important to watch. And yeah, then you just put the pieces in as you see here. 2 more screws and then 2 more screws over here. Make sure these screws are going into that little groove so it's lined up with the groove. You can feel when it's nice and flush and lined up. Sometimes you may think the piece is in and it's not quite already in yet, so just make sure it's lined up perfect with these grooves. And yeah, this is one of the parts of building the shed that could be pretty difficult. Most people find this part difficult, amongst other parts as well. So as you can see, the next piece is in on the other side. Going to get a couple of screws holding that thing down, and you just continue onward doing much of the same. Then after I put this one on, the Skylight there is going to get another connector, which is going to keep it straight, or keep it actually bent the way it's supposed to be. Just right where you saw there, I bent it into shape. This connector is going to keep the bend in the right direction it's supposed to be bent at. So that's what these connectors also can be utilized as a tool to help. It's like a hand on the end of it that's holding it. Someone there for you holding it bent in a little bit. And same with the connector on the end cap one. When you're starting out there, I put the end cap on just to help keep the bend. So I've put my first connector piece in, first couple of panels, and then I take the cap off, put the 2 pieces on, put the end cap back on. Here is a situation where it's a little tough. As you can see, this is probably going to happen. It's going to want to come apart here when you try to clip these things in, because they're so hard to snap in most of the time. And once you get it in, just make sure everything stays straight and stays together. Everything's in the groove, and just like you see me doing here, put it all together just like this on the ground. And this is what the instructions show you how to do also, but I think the instructions show you to start in the middle with 2 short pieces and work your way out towards each end, and then put the whole run up in one shot with 2 people. But then you need 2 ladders, 2 people, both lifting with sticks or whatever and pushing it all the way up from the outside, you know, while standing on the ladder, and 2 people pushing this whole run up and getting it up there, which I've done it that way as well. But when you're by yourself, like me, a lot of times I'm by myself and don't have a helper, you find alternate ways to do it if you're by yourself. And so this is one of the things I can do by myself. Most of the sheds I can do by myself, given enough time. And here it is, half of the section. So this should run you halfway across your shed, about 10 feet or so across. And I bring it over, all one big piece. Be careful with it, not to bend it or bang it around too much where the pieces come apart and the screws pop out. But you gently lay it up there and just bring it across. Sometimes I just set it up there and then come on the inside with a little stick or a hammer, the back end of a hammer, as you see there, and just kind of move it over. If you're a shorter person, you have to get up on a ladder and do this, then do so. Get it right in the middle, approximately somewhere in the middle, and just lift up. So each one of these connector brackets are sitting right there in the truss. There's a shot of it right there. You want that little connector bracket to lay right inside the truss area. And if it's not quite lined up, then just jiggle it to the left or right and get it to drop in. That first one is a long piece, a long Skylight, so it just shoots right over that first connector. You don't have a connector there. But then the second one, third one, and all the ones that cross in the middle get these connectors. And so now that it's laid up there and sitting in the grooves, I put the next connector on, just as I would build this on the ground. I'm building it now in the air. And you can see it's slid into the channel where it's supposed to go, and then I'm going to put another short Skylight piece, fold it first, give it a nice little crimp there so it lines up nice, and put it into the other end of the connector. So there you go, and that should keep things straight. A lot of times I put another connector on the end of that one to keep its bend, and here you go, just like you see here. Put that connector on just to keep that Skylight piece in the right position, the bend, just to keep it folded just like that. It's about a 30-degree fold, I guess, 35-degree angle anyway, or something like that, 25, 35. And as you see there, I'm ready for the next short piece, And I'm just checking the edges there. You see me making sure it's nice smooth, and if there's any excess plastic you want to just slice off, that's a nice good piece. It's been deburred already, if you will. And they're still going to be hard to snap into place, especially up here on a ladder from the inside. But here's some tricks that are going to show you how to do it. By the way, this whole run on the very end where the end cap is, by the doors there where I lifted the whole thing up and put it up there, I put a couple of screws there right in the beginning just to hold it. And so here's so it won't be sliding off the edge there. So it's held in place at the end of this run from the beginning, but I didn't go across with it because you need some play. You need to be able to lift this whole run up a little bit if you need to get these pieces in. So if you put too many screws in the beginning from the end coming this way, it's going to be too tight. You won't be able to lift up the run to get the pieces in. So you gotta leave a little bit undone as you go. And then once the whole run is all the way across, here's a great shot right up through the roof. This is what the top looks like. Nice. And you'll be working from underneath, and that's what it's going to look like. And then I use this little slotted screwdriver to help bring into lining it up into position in that little groove there. As you can see there, this could be quite difficult. Your pieces want to go pull out and go all over the place, so it takes a lot of experience and finagling to get these things in there, but you can get them in there. Give yourself some time. Once it's lined up, you put a couple of screws in there, low torque of course. You don't want to use no crazy drill, too much torque, but yeah, just tap these in. Maybe use a hand screwdriver if you have to. It's a lot more wrist action involved there. So yeah, looks good. And then the other piece, short piece, is going to clip into the other connector on the other side, or the same connector but on the other side right there. Yeah, make sure the edges are nice. If you're trying to put this in and it doesn't seem to be going very good and you're just about ready to give up, take the piece out and make sure it's clean of any debris that might be holding it up from snapping in there. That one went pretty good. I stuck the screwdriver in, that's my little trick, and kind of into the groove to kind of pull it into the groove. You don't want to really go pull too hard on there because you don't want to damage anything, but yeah, just pull it in. If it's not going, then use your hands, and if you have to pull the whole thing out and then check your edges and then try it again, it usually goes second or third time a little bit easier. So there you go. Next piece is in, and you just work your way across doing this, much of the same. I'm lining it up. A lot of times I put the screwdriver through that hole right there that you saw with where my thumb was at, and then this hole also in the truss as well. See how I put the screwdriver through that hole and just use it as a pry bar to pull the whole piece over where it needs to be. And then also you put it through that hole there with the little drop down area where it connects to the roof, which you'll put screws in all those areas once the whole roof run is completed and you make it all the way to the end here. So yeah, as you can see, made it all the way to the end and doing much of the same with all these connectors. The last long Skylight shoots over that last truss. You don't need a connector because it's one long piece. It just shoots right over, makes it nice and easy. By the way, those last two are a lot easier than the middle ones. And there you have it. There's your Skylight run all the way across. And you just go back through here, make sure you fill in all those holes where needed, and drill those screws in, connecting it to each one of these trusses. You'll see on each side is a screw hole with a little pilot hole. You just line that little pilot hole up, just like you saw there, and connect all those screws together. And you're all set, except for the end cap here, which I'm going to put on from the outside. That's your final process. And just pop the end cap just like you did the first one, only this one is as you can see, a crazy situation where it's up, already been pushed back against the wall. But just climb up there carefully, and I put that last end cap on there. So yeah, you're all set on this, and there you have it. That's your center skylight, center roof skylight on a 20-foot shed. Half of it you build on the ground, and the other half I built from inside when it's already up, and just build from the center all the way to the other end and then screw it down. You're all set. Alright guys, thanks for watching another RubberToe assembly. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. I got a bunch of other videos, very informative, on all kinds of different sizes sheds and other stuff too, sports equipment. Anyway, thanks. Have a good day. Take care.